4x4 in service, starting mileage 6428. Detectives Perkins and Walter, with police recorder Donn Reed. Central District Patrol, tour of duty 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. on the Nightwatch.
Check 5-4, mileage 6428, patrolling Central District 6:04 p.m., starting Nightwatch.
This is Donn Reed. I'm a police recorder. The sounds you are listening to are real. This is a police car reporting in service for night duty. You will actually ride with this detective unit and follow the activities of the police officers in this car. You will watch and listen with me as the cases unfold. And as you listen, remember the people you hear are not actors, and all the voices and sounds are authentic. For this is Nightwatch.
Nightwatch. For the first time, through the medium of network radio, the actual on-the-scene report of your police force in action. There are no actors. There is no script. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. Nightwatch. Presented with the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California. W.N. Hidebrande, Chief. We switch you to car 5-4, now on patrol, and to police recorder Donn Reed.
Just checking our log. At 6:31 p.m. this date, we took a stolen car report and arranged transportation home for the victim. 7:32 p.m. assisted West Los Angeles police at the scene of a traffic accident. Cleared. 8:22 p.m. It might be interesting to note...
All units in the vicinity. At 2091 Hazleton, that's 2091 Hazleton, a 459 there now. Unit 5-4 handle the call. Code 2.
5-4, Roger, we're rolling. Well, there's our call. And I reported 459. That means a burglar. A burglar is in the house and has been sighted by some citizen or perhaps even the victim. We don't know. We have no further information on it. And we're taking off and moving as rapidly as conditions allow. Now, code 2, which we are running, means we just have our red light on. We're not using a siren for quite obvious reasons. We don't want to tip off our presence. Now, one thing in particular that I can feel as we're running in here on these last few seconds, I can feel the tension that has suddenly come over the car. I know I personally feel it. A moment ago, we were cruising along, the conversation was casual, and suddenly comes this call, a burglar, which in the terminology of the police department, of course, is a 459. We're coming into the area now where the burglar has been reported. We've traveled perhaps, I'd say, 2.5 to 3 miles since our call was originally received. Our car is now watching for the street. We'll turn off to the right when it happens. And as a matter of fact, this is it, I believe, up ahead. Our red light has been turned off now. We're in second gear, slowing down. No, apparently this is, yes, it is too. This is the street. And now our car lights have gone off. We're driving completely in the dark. The officers are watching both sides of the sidewalk to see if we can see any person at all of suspicious nature. And just apparently the house right off to the right, I noticed the officers observing. And we're coming in now, moving out as quietly as possible. The officers are getting out of the car, and we'll be right along behind them. Going up the walk as I'm talking. Up on the front porch, there's a gentleman who is motioning the officers into the house. Let's move right on in. Standing across from me in the bedroom door is a middle-aged woman clutching a bathrobe to her throat and appears to be in a very highly nervous condition. The officers are questioning her about the Prowler. Let's move right on over.
Whoever he was, he came in, and I went into the bathroom, and he was in this room, and I thought it was my daughter. And then I was in the bathroom, and he walked right in the bathroom, and I went to go out, and he gave me a shove. And I started screaming. Naturally, then, my husband ran out of here, and my daughter just came in. Mm-hmm. See? And he was gone by the time she came back in.
Could you tell me, what did he look like, ma'am?
He was taller than you was, because he pushed me, and he had a white shirt on and a tie.
Was he a young man? Old
yes,
man?
He was a younger man, and when he went to shove me, I screamed. And he wasn't going to let me out of the bathroom, you know. And whenever, as soon as he pushed me, then I noticed he had gray trousers and a white shirt and a tie, and he was taller than you are. He must have come in this room first and dropped his coat. I don't know whether he knew these houses or whether he mixed them up. They don't get much alike.
We found a coat. The officers discovered a coat with a name in it, unquestionably. I'm moving out of the house now as I'm speaking, and that was the mother of you. Heard the description of it. I'm moving away now, and unquestionably we will go on an investigation and determine just who and what this man is. The officers now are checking to see if he is still in the neighborhood. Right now, we'll move back to our car. Here in our police car again, and I've just been informed by one of the officers that while we were in the house on this investigation, Control 1 has received a second Prowler call just a couple of blocks from here, as a matter of fact. Another car has been dispatched to that location, so...
in all units in vicinity. At 2036 Evergreen, they're holding a Prowler there now. 5-4, this may be your 459 suspect wanted on your present call.
5-4, roger. Well, this very possibly is a tie-in somewhere on that case. But where is that, Sergeant?
It's right down the end of this block, Don. I think it's a house there with a light on it, right at the corner.
Right, check. We're coming to a stop now. And sliding in, our lights are out. We're skidding into a stop. And now let's get out with the officers and determine exactly what's happening. This very possibly...
He's right in there, officer. Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Come on, Don.
Following the officers on into the house now, as we're going into the main room. And this very possibly may be the suspect that we're looking for. He is in the bedroom, or rather the bathroom, of a private home. The officers are in with him, and he is standing in the nude at the present time. The officers have called for a blanket. He's putting up quite a fight about this whole thing. And now let's see if I can move in there. I can't quite get near enough to him now to pick up his voice. Because, as I said, the man in this case, the suspect, is completely nude, and they are throwing a blanket around him.
All right, fellow, you've been placed under arrest. Let's go.
Well, the prisoner is being escorted out of the house, and I'm tagging along behind now as I'm speaking. He is handcuffed with just a blanket pulled up around him. Outside of the door now. The prisoner is being placed in the back seat of Unit 50 with an officer guarding him. Well, that means for us, next stop, police headquarters. It's 10:05 p.m., and I'm standing here at the booking desk in the Culver City Police Station. The suspect was positively identified by two of the victims a few moments ago. The suspect is being brought out of the detention room now. You probably can hear the cell door open, and two of the officers are directing the prisoner toward the booking desk. And incidentally, he is still handcuffed, and his only clothing is that blanket pulled around him. Sergeant Perkins is about to book the prisoner.
What happened tonight?
What happened tonight?
Yeah. How'd you get involved?
Chapter, his name is Murphy, your sergeant's name is I don't know what. Add the two together and you'd have how I got involved.
How'd you get in that house down there?
The house belonged to me, Sergeant.
How about the other two houses?
They too belong to me, Sergeant.
You own the property, do you?
Indeed I do.
Where are your clothes?
Officer, may I ask you a question? Have you ever, in your house, this is your own individual house, ever gone to the bathroom without your trousers on?
Sure, in my own house.
Right. That house in which this particular officer and officer, is it a sergeant? There are about 5 or 6 properties in the city of Santa Monica that I own.
Well, this is the city of Culver City, not the city of Santa Monica, and these people are signing complaints against you.
Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, then I suggest that you check with the people themselves.
Well, here is your property slip.
Okay.
What property you don't have. You're being booked on suspicion of 459, which is burglary and attempt assault.
Right.
What?
I say I am fully aware of that.
Okay. Take his handcuffs off and put them on back into that.
Would I be going too far to ask for a pair of trousers?
We don't have any. Our buddies are going to try to get some for you.
Just a second, please. May I finish talking? Okay. Would you do me one favor?
What's that?
Call district attorney.
You know the district attorney?
No, not directly.
Well, I'm sure you'll wait till Monday morning then.
No, I don't think so either. I think perhaps you better call now.
Take his handcuffs off and put them on yourself.
May I say one thing? I asked you, I made a request.
We'll call on Monday morning.
Wait a minute. Before you go any further, I have committed no crimes. Remember this. I have asked for a request to call the district attorney, and you have said no, right? Take them back. That's all. Thank you. When you're demoted Monday morning, come see me.
We have moved over here to the Nightwatch commander's office, where he and Sergeant Perkins have been conferring on the many reports necessary in this case. I think we're about ready to clear, right, Sergeant?
In just a minute, Don. By the way, you might be interested in one or two other developments that have occurred.
Really?
A friend of the suspect came to the station a short while ago and brought some clothes for the prisoner. Mm-hmm. And incidentally volunteered the information that the suspect did not, to his knowledge, own any of the property he claimed he did during our interrogation.
I see.
And by the way, he also stated the prisoner had been a guest of honor at a stag party given earlier this evening.
Really?
Yeah, he was scheduled to be married tomorrow.
You are listening to Nightwatch. For the first time, through the medium of network radio, the on-the-scene activities of a detective unit on their tour of duty. The people are not actors, and the voices and sounds are authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. And now to continue the action on Nightwatch, we return you to police recorder Donn Reed on patrol in police car 5-4.
It's well past midnight on the night watch, and I'm speaking from the Culver City police station. We've been out on patrol until a few moments ago when we were advised to report back to headquarters. Once again, we're returning to the office of the Chief of Detectives, Lieutenant Bob Conlon.
Hi, Lieutenant. Did you call me?
Yes, Perkins. You know, we had a homicide here a short time ago. I'm working on another angle of the case, and we have two new witnesses. I want you to take their statements, then re-question the murder suspect. When you're finished, report back to me.
Where are the witnesses?
They're waiting in the next office.
Right, Lieutenant. Evening, gentlemen. I'd like to have a statement from both of you. I'd like to talk to you first, if I may, sir. Now, I understand that you met this man in question earlier tonight in a bar. You had a conversation with him. What did you say to him?
I said, come on, have a drink. So he said, all right. He said, what are you going to have? And he said, whiskey sour. So I went and bought the whiskey sour, and he said, I'm going to kill that woman. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill her. I'm going to kill him. So I said, after all, I said, you got a wife, you got a kid. And I said, your daughter. I said, would you want your kids to think you was a murderer? He stomped out the side door, and that's all I saw of the man.
Has this man ever threatened her before? Do you know?
Yes, he did. He told me he was going to kill her before. He told me that.
Well, I'll tell you what I would like to have you do is to write down in your own words just exactly what you told us here, and so that we can use it on the coroner's inquest.
The first witness is going over to a table in the corner. And it's interesting to note that the statement just heard may be the first step in changing the entire complexion of this case. And now the sergeant is going to continue.
Now, as the second witness, I'd like to have your statement, please. How long have you known this man?
Well, I should say I know him around about 12 or 15 years.
About 12 or 15 years. Have you ever heard him threaten to kill this woman before?
Yes.
What words did he use? Do you remember any of the words?
He called her wino. He said, I'll kill that old drunk wino some of these days if she don't get to doing better. He says, I'm trying to raise her up and build her up to do something right. I said, and you can't do it by killing her.
How long ago was this?
Well, that's about the last week.
About last week. And what else did he say?
He said to me, I think it was Thursday. He said, that old bag of bones is the kill of my life. He says, she's a ruin. He said, I'm going to kill her. I'm going to kill her. It was the last thing I ever do. I told him, I said, listen, I said, you've got 2 children. You've got a boy that's grown up. And you've got a girl that's about 12 years old. I said, don't you ever think about them? I said, why don't you walk off?
He has committed physical violence on her before, is it?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to have you do, if you'll do the same as this other gentleman, and just write down in your own words just what you've told us here, so that we can use it in the coroner's inquest.
The 2 witnesses are just leaving the room now. And glancing down the hall, I can see the murder suspect arriving in custody of an officer. And in these last few seconds, I'd like to point out the very unusual situation. Now, you've heard both witnesses state that this man had threatened to kill the woman. But entering the door now is the irony of this case.
Because it's the woman that shot and killed him.
Can you sit down over here, please? Right here, ma'am. There you are. Now, I'd like to have you tell me in your own words just exactly what happened last night.
I went around and turned all my lights on like I do to try to keep them scared away. And I put my kittens to bed early because I have to take them to the garage. I got them in and locked the door and got in. So then naturally I don't figure to get out no more. I'm afraid to even go out in my yard. And I was going to take a bath. And something, I don't know, I just felt afraid to even strip off because I never know when he's going to be at the door, you know, and I just seemed to have that feeling. So I decided, well, I'll soak my feet and then I'll take my bath and shampoo my hair in the morning. So I went on up to go in the kitchen to fix some coffee, because I always drink coffee again after dinner. And I'm in there, and I had this light right in that patio there by the kitchen. And all of a sudden the light went off. You just turn it like that. But I could see him clear, you know, just right there in my face. And began to threaten me. And he says, I told you I was going to get you, and I've come to get you tonight. I've come to kill you tonight. And I made the remark then. I said, you know, I've got a gun too. So I said I wouldn't talk like that. And I figured maybe he got afraid, and he went up the wall and started up the street, and then he had his car that time, and he sat there for quite a while. I opened the front door. The screen door was open. I opened the front door and stood there. But I'd say he sat there a good 10 minutes, or seen that long or more. And then he come to this other window.
This is the window on the driveway in the bedroom.
Yes, and he came to that one.
Where were you at that time?
I was in my room. I had already stripped off, and I was sitting on my bed.
That is in the front bedroom.
Yes. I thought, well, I got to go in there and see if I can get him going again. And I went in and I talked to him, and he said, I'm coming in after you. And he had the screen either off or pulled out at that time, even when I went in, you know. In other words, he was clear to me through that hole. And so I kept talking to him. He said he wasn't leaving, he was coming in. And I said, I've got a gun here. And I even showed it. I held it right out in front.
Where was the gun at that time?
It was laying right there on that dresser by the window. I said, see, I've got a gun in my hand. I said, if you try to come in, I'll shoot. He said, go ahead and shoot. He says, you and him together, you wouldn't do it or something. I don't know the words he said. He said, anyway, I'm coming in after you. And he kept on coming.
He started coming to the window then?
That's when he started to make his lunge in. And I pulled the trigger, and then he started cursing me.
And how far away were you from him at the time that you fired?
Well, I couldn't have been very far because I was right up there talking, you know. I'm standing there by the dresser.
How many feet were you from him, roughly?
I couldn't say. The windows say like that, and the dresser...
About 3 feet away?
Couldn't have been any farther than that, I don't think. I just reached here and the window there, and I'm standing there, as I said, I held it, and I said, I showed him the gun. And
well, after you fired, what did he do then?
He started cursing me, and then he takes off up the drive to the front door.
And then what happened?
Well, I come from it when I heard him do that. I didn't even know I'd hit him. So I come through, and I laid the gun up here where they picked it up, and I walked up to watch, because I've got a double lock on the door, and he'd have a pretty hard time getting in the door. And I come up, and the porch light was on, and I looked, and he was at the door, but just about the time I got there, he just went back like that.
He fell back, did he?
He fell back.
And he collapsed on the front porch?
Right there, and I must have hit him because he fell.
And then did you call the police after that?
Yes.
And the radio car came, said it?
Outside until they came.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
It's 1:45 a.m., and we're back here in the office of Lieutenant Conlon, where he's been studying the statements given by the two witnesses that Sergeant Perkins interviewed a short while ago. Well, does that wrap up the case, Lieutenant?
Yeah, Don, that's about it. Sometimes a police investigation may point up a person's guilt or clear them of any connection with a crime. Or, still again, as in this case, may tend to show the suspect's action to be justified.
Well, With that, it just means completing formal reports and submitting them to the district attorney for action. From then on, it's up to the courts.
Ladies and gentlemen, Police Chief W.N. Hidebrande.
In the case of the Prowler tonight, he was subsequently booked for violation 459 of the Penal Code, which is burglary, and Section 240 of the Penal Code, assault, the penalty of which is 1 to 15 years in the state prison for burglary, or up to 6 months in the county jail for assault. In the case of the homicide involving the woman who shot the man as he attempted to break into her home, the Detective Bureau, under Lieutenant Bob Conlon, submitted their reports and testimony to the Los Angeles County Coroner at the inquest, where a verdict of justifiable homicide was rendered. In turn, the suspect was released from custody. Over 100,000 people come through our city each week, making our city one of the most heavily populated in the state of California. My department is cooperating in bringing you the activities of the Nightwatch in the interest of public security. No police department can be effective without the combined efforts of the citizens and the realization of the problems encountered by their officers. If, through this program, our department can further that cause, then our efforts will be well rewarded in bringing you the Nightwatch.
Thank you, Chief Hidebrande. You have just heard, through the medium of network radio, on-the-scene reports of your police force in action. Every voice, every sound has been real. Nightwatch is brought to you through the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California, and is produced by Sterling Tracy and Jim Hedlock, with technical advice by Police Sergeant Ron Perkins, and is described in the field by Police Recorder Donn Reed.
It's 2:30 a.m., and we're just pulling into the police garage. Well, that about wraps it up, huh, Sergeant?
Yeah, except for making out the laws.
Control 1 to 5-4. Are you clear?
Excuse me a minute, Don. 5-4, Raj. You're clear and reporting out of service.
Check 5-4. 2:31 a.m. End of night watch.